Hi, my name is Matt Post with SEM Dynamics, and this is another morning cup of SEO. This is where I take a week's worth of search engine news and distill it down to only those items that are relevant to the legal industry. If you're a do-it-yourself lawyer, then this will help you focus only on those elements that are most important to your industry. And if you have your own internal marketing team or an outside third-party company that does the marketing for you, what I want you to do is do me a favor. I want you to forward this video to those individuals who are handling your marketing. This will help them stay on top of those items that will help benefit your law firm. Be sure to like or subscribe to get notifications for future videos. All right, now I have my handy dandy notes, so let's get started. First, in a statement, Google says not to worry if you're using JavaScript to display content or text on your page, and that their Googlebot can render that JavaScript and read the text that's displayed on the pages. Now, one area that there may be a problem is that if your page requires user interaction to display that content or show that content, that might be problematic because Googlebot will not actually interact with the page and click on buttons. So that may become a problem if the text and the content is not already held within the page, and you're therefore not displaying it on the page. The content doesn't exist when the page loads and renders. This could be a problem depending on how your pages are programmed. If your law firm's site has a button that says read more, and then more content is then shown, or on accordions where there may be a selection of headlines, and when you click on a headline, more content displays underneath that headline. If that content is not preloaded or loaded when the page loads, and it only loads after the link or button is clicked on, there may be an issue with that content being rendered and considered by Google. So it's something to check with your developer, something to check with the programmers to make sure that that content loads and renders as the page loads and doesn't require user interaction. And if you want to test your page and see how your page appears to Google, you can go to Google and search for Fetch as Google, and there's a tool out there that will actually show you how your page looks and how it's rendered by Googlebot. Next, Google's John Mueller discussed on a video chat the ideas of a honeymoon and a sandbox. And what a honeymoon is it's a hypothesis that Google will give preferential treatment to new content. And so when you publish a new blog or a new article, that it will naturally be given higher ranking because of its freshness. And as time progresses, that page will then settle down lower into the search results. And the sandbox is pretty much the exact opposite. It's the idea that a page starts lower in the search engine result pages, lower in the rankings, and as time goes on, as time progresses, more authority about that page is built, or for whatever reason, the page will then start to rank. And often a sandbox is attributed to an entire site, like a brand new website. It's considered to be in Google's sandbox because Google doesn't know what to do with that site yet, or how popular or authoritative or really is it going to deliver the best answers, or deliver on whatever the intent of the user is best. And that's the idea of the Google sandbox. It's usually towards the entire site, but I have heard of people talking about it on the page level. And so John Mueller, he pretty much said that the reason why people may be observing this type of behavior with the search engine, that some of the initial ranking factors that are taken into consideration may not exist when a page is first published or when a site is brand new. Things such as backlinks, or just the general popularity of that page. I mean, it can read the content and look at it only on the on-page cues, but most of the off-page elements just probably won't exist for a brand new page or a brand new site. And So there are assumptions that Google makes, and sometimes those assumptions are off. And if they're off in the direction where Google gives makes an assumption, and that assumption creates a bias toward that page ranking higher, and later as time goes on, it settles lower because those assumptions are no longer required, and those signals still don't exist. Backlinks, right, would be a good example. And therefore, the page will be lowered down in the rankings. And the same thing would happen for the sandbox effect on a page. Google's assumption is that the quality of that page is lower, and it may become something that becomes viral or highly searched or whatever, naturally somehow gains more reputation than what was anticipated, and more links are given to that page, and therefore it ranks higher in the search engine results as time goes on. And that would be the Honeymoon and Sandbox phenomenon. They spoke about that, and this is a bit of a different take than what has been in the past, where Google's statement is like, oh, there is no sandbox period, there is no sandbox period. And now they're saying, well, there's not necessarily sandbox period, but we are making assumptions, and therefore what you may observe may be our system's assumptions being overweight in one direction or another. Generally, what I've seen is a brand new site may take several months to gain ranking, and that is for the exact same reason that John Mueller was talking about, and it is that it just takes a while to gain those signals, those ranking factors, to establish yourself in all the different directories, and to start gaining some of these backlinks that are going to be helpful for your business. And this isn't traditional search engine optimization, not necessarily has to do with map optimization, which is one reason why if you have a brand new site, going after the map pack, going after your map rankings becomes incredibly valuable, because you can rank faster on Google Maps. Now last, Google just launched their Autosuggest ads. And what an Autosuggest is, if you go into Google search engine and you type in anything, type in car accident, and Google will suggest car accident lawyer, car accident near me, car accident Los Angeles, or whatever, a number of suggestions to complete your search. This is a user experience thing, so Google's using their machine learning to try to figure out what the user is going to want to search for, so you don't have to type everything out. It'll start suggesting search queries for the user. Now, Google is allowing, or they've just released the ability to have ads show up in those search suggestions. So going back to the car accident example that I gave, if somebody typed in car accident, you can insert, you can have an ad that shows up in the auto suggestion box. And that ad will be for your law firm, and clicking on that will take them to to your page. So this just came out. I'm sure there's going to be quite the migration to doing these types of ads. There's a huge advantage. Your competition for other sites and other listings become a lot lower, and they could convert best for those practice areas that have a higher motivation factor. Personal injury attorneys was one that just comes to mind, where you need an attorney right now. And if your practice areas are more towards to the discovery, a lot more research takes place for your practice areas. Business law would be one, right? These types of ads may not work best for you, but they will definitely be a very valuable asset to those attorneys who are practicing law, where your practice areas are of high motivation to the user. So that's it for this week. Be sure to like or subscribe so that you get notifications of future videos.